Today's toy spot. We were finished having a look at all the lines from the brand new legendary Voltron series. Now I thought it would be perfect to kind of do a separate video where we would merge all the lines to finish Voltron. So yes, over the course of the videos we had to look at the red line, the blue line, black line, yellow line, and green line. Now that we've got them all finished, we're going to make ourselves Voltron. So obviously I think the best thing to do is first start off by making the legs. So we're just going to take off these little firing launching mechanisms and take it also off of the yellow line. We'll put that to the side. And we'll first start by making the legs. Now if you've seen these videos already, you know how these all come together. The tails already have been pushed in, but we'll just get the tail once again pushed in. Sometimes I find the tails do stick. I think they just kind of get caught in themselves in the inside interior of the lion. But what you're going to do is take the legs, fold them inward like that, and straighten that up like so. Take the back legs. I'm just going to move them back to the side for this moment here. I'm going to bring the head forward. There we go. And adjust the head like so. Bring the legs around, and you can make yourself the heel. And there is leg number one, the yellow line. Do the same with the blue line. Bring these legs back, fold them into the cavity portion of the thigh, bring these around, then bring these legs back just for the time being. Bring this little crown portion forward on the blue line and bring the head around. Straighten this up. Straighten out the other legs so that you have a nice flat surface, and there you have both legs in place and they're ready to go. Go ahead and take the top section of the red line. We'll take the launcher off, and while we're actually at it, we'll take the launcher portion of the green line off as well. These are the more not confusing aspects of the line transformations, but it's a little bit more so you need a little bit more patience when getting the legs folded in, and you've seen this already in these reviews. We're going to bring the legs back, once again filling into the cavity section. Bring these forward, tuck the tail in, make sure that's in all the way. Now the more nerve-wracking part of this, we're going to bring this out, open this up, bring the legs up, fold them in on themselves, and I'll try to show you in one of the lines how we're going to do this. We're going to fold the leg in, and we're just going to trying to make sure I got everything on camera here. Bring these in, but when you bring them in, you want to make sure that you get them around the neck section like that. Fold them in all the way, and see this section right here. I don't know if you can make it out or not, but there's like a little indentation. That little section here, you want to bring the feet forward, which is not now an easy feat, but no pun intended. Bring these forward so that the leg sits in those little slots, almost like you're sitting yourself onto like a footrest. You're going to want to do the same on this side as well, because once you get those as flat as you possibly can, there we go, you can then completely close that shut and it's not obstructed. I already got the connector point brought out. We're good with that. We'll put the arm right there. And we'll do the same with the red line. Fold the back legs in, bring this forward. Open up the top canopy section, bring the legs around. Again, the hardest part is just actually getting it around the neck area and trying to get it tucked in there. There we go. And bear with me, there we go. Get that around. And once again, you have these little footrest areas. You want to bring the legs around and they'll tuck in. This one actually fit in perfectly. See how that kind of bends like this and then the foot's arched down? This is exactly what you need to do. Fold that in, make sure it's on an angle. Angle is key, and then you can close up the arm. Bring out your connector point. Make sure the tail is pushed in all the way. And now you've got both arms ready as well. Okay? I've lined these up accordingly, so like green will be on this side, yellow, blue, and then red. Now only thing we need to do is get the black line in place. Bring these tabs forward, bring the legs inward, and you're just going to bring them up. bring this inward, tuck this up into the cavity, and then close up the arms. I've already deactivated, by the way, the sound effects, so they're not going to be bothering us too much. Bring the legs down. Bring the feet all the way down, like that. And then we can form the head later, but what we're going to do is take the leg, slide it into place, like that, and it should latch. You almost should hear a click when you snap that into place. Then go ahead and take the other leg, snap it in, and you've got both legs good to go. Just make sure everything's straight up. There we go. And we're good to go. All right, so there's the bottom half of Voltron. Now we can go ahead, let's bring this over here a bit. All right. And then we're going to go ahead and take the arms. The arms will connect just to the sides. And we just want to line it up here. The hardest part actually is just getting, well, I shouldn't say the hardest part. One of the more difficult parts is getting the connector points lined up and fit into place. Now, one thing you have to be aware of, though, is if you look at the connector point of the red line, for example, you see how it has a square, but then there's this little extra piece that jets out at the bottom. If I hold it up next to the connector point of the green line, you'll see that those little extra extensions run opposite to one another. It's very crucial because the formation of Voltron has you specifically having you connecting the right line. You can't simply just connect the red line, for example, to this side, because as you see, the connector point right here is on the wrong side. So you can't actually put the red line right there. So in an instance such as this, you're going to actually have to take the green line, which has the same alignment of that little extra indent, that little extra extension, and it will tell you that that's the line that you have to put into place. Now that we have the green line in place, we have to now do the same thing with the red line. It's one thing, though, to know that when you are installing the lions, you have to apply a fair bit of pressure to lock the arm into place. Sometimes to the point where you feel like you're breaking it, you still have to push beyond that to get it to lock into place. So simply just line it up. Sometimes you need to adjust the shoulder accordingly, and you'll hear that snap. The snap will tell you that everything is now locked into place and the arms are now installed. The final touches include bringing out the wings, like that on either side. And of course, you know the last step, which is I'll form the head. And you just lock that into place. And now you've got yourself a completed Voltron. The final touches for Voltron involve taking the blazing sword and opening up one of the mouths. Depending on your preference, you can use either the red line or the green line, although the green line will make use of the shield, so it's probably easier to use the red line. Open up the mouth, take the handle and put it behind the teeth portion of the mouth of the cat, like that. Spot's got a horrible angle on this, there we go. And close it up. And now you can hold the blazing sword. And then on the other end, if you just flip the Voltron around, you can then make use of the shield by attaching it to the little hole portion of the green lion. Now it's small though, as you can probably see by the fact I just dropped it. It is a fairly small shield, so it doesn't really attach very well, and even if when it does attach, it's so small, I can't really imagine Voltron really making too much use out of it. So a lot of times I'll just completely leave it off and I'll display him more so with the blazing sword. Obviously, the sound effects still work on Voltron. I've just gone ahead and turned him back on, at least the black line, and we press the button on the side. And again.
Pitch! Form shield!
My shield can't take much more of this!
We need to increase firepower!
We got you, buddy!
Let's light this thing up! Fire lasers! Now we go on the offensive!
Now, when it comes to Voltron's articulation, it's basically all the components that we spoke of with the individual lions, plus, again, the articulation for the black lion. So while he doesn't have an articulation where you can swivel the head left and right, which is really disappointing, you can still move the head up and down. You can still accomplish that. I wish, though, that he could have had a head swivel. He does have he has articulation in the shoulders by virtue of the fact that the black lion does move his shoulder section, or basically where his legs would have originally resided. The articulation in the individual forearms, and then he also has a hinge socket right in the elbow portion here. Very small articulation, rotation in the individual hands. Then for the legs, I'm actually surprised that the legs have as much as they do, which is a nice feat from, of course, Playmates toys. One thing actually I want to do...
Engaging full reverse thrusters. Roger. Engaging lower thrusters.
For starters, I want to actually turn him off just so he doesn't trigger an activation anymore. One thing I forgot to do, though, is bring his tail up. Okay, so in the way of his leg articulation, as you can see, he's got the split-legged articulation. One thing that the black lion has a fair bit of is posability, at least in the leg section. The legs do move forward and move back, and he does have a double bend, surprisingly, if you can believe it, a double bend in the knee, which is quite an accomplished feat. Then he also has, well, he does have the bend in the elbow, in the knee, I should say, but nothing really in the individual lions. I mean, you could move technically the ankle portion, but it really only involves you detaching the head portion from the lion itself. As a whole, great looking figure. It's not, well, I would say one of the downsides to the figure is he's a little top heavy. He does get a little shaky when it comes to standing him up. But it's to be expected. I mean, really any Gestalt, whether we were looking at the Voltron or whether we were looking at the Devastator. Devastator, if you even remember when we were looking at the Titan's Return Devastator, just by sheer virtue of his size, it made him a little top-heavy, a little wonky when it got to standing him straight. Voltron has that problem, but I guess one of the biggest problems I have is that his legs sometimes want to disconnect from the black lion. Sometimes you also have to accommodate with adjusting the legs to make sure that he's standing upright. And a lot of times you'll see yourself doing this where you're just kind of compensating by adjusting his legs, adjusting his torso, and doing anything you can just to get a proper footing with Voltron. But it's to be expected. A figure really is this big, 16 inches in height. Again, stuff like this is bound to really happen. I love this figure. I love this toy. I love collecting all individual 5 lions and eventually collecting and building ourselves Voltron. He's not 100% perfect. I almost feel as if I would want to do the lions individually and then get myself the fully built light up function Voltron as the primary Voltron for what I would have on display. I know that's kind of a cop-out. It's a little bit of cheating because I'm not really, that's the Voltron that I haven't really technically assembled. But the lines are so good, I would want to have the lines displayed on their own and then maybe do the Voltron light up electronic version as the display option for having him displayed with the blazing sword. I feel like I'd have a little bit more control over the posability. I feel like he would be a little bit more stable. Well, I do feel like this guy does have the stability. It's still difficult because you're always kind of readjusting the legs, making sure he is doing his best to stand upright. I don't feel like he would tip over, but I still feel like I have to compensate with adjusting his legs to make sure he doesn't fall over. He's still a great piece. Playmates Toys has done a fantastic job. I mean, seal of approval from Spot here. The lines, again, individually speaking, I love the lines so much, I would display the lines individually. That's how much I love this line. Today's Toy Spot, though, we were finally having a look at the built, fully put together Voltron, which, personally speaking, if you're a fan of Voltron, I think not only the new series has done a service to the Voltron franchise, but I think Playmates has also done a true service to this line as well. Today's Toy Spot, once again, we were looking at the final, fully put together Voltron. Thanks for watching, as you always do, guys. Certainly stay tuned as well. Spot's got more videos heading you to your doorstep, to your computer, for you guys to check out every Not every single day. Spot does take breaks from time to time, but certainly more videos are always going to be churning out. So make sure you stay tuned to this channel. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.